proof. It's just not enough for you to go in and open up a NASA photograph and look at the overexposure, what happens to it. They need more proof. Here's a picture of the ball Earth from Galileo, which is what, 1990 or something like that, when this photo was supposedly taken, when the satellite was like 1 point so many million miles away. And this is the photo they gave us from NASA. You can look it up right there. Galileo Earth, photo PI or PLA 00114. You can look it up. Well, let's go into this thing and let's adjust the exposure and take a look at what happens. You can see supposedly the dark space out here with no stars or nothing. And then when we start to overexpose it, this is what happens. You can see that this image was pasted onto a black background. This is what happens when an image is fake and it's pasted on top of something. It's fake. Okay, I get it. Some people just can't handle seeing NASA images turn out to be fake. When you bring them into Photoshop type software and overexpose the image, you see that it's been pasted onto a black background. Basically, they're creating an image. I don't know how they create it. They could be a painting, it could be a drawing, it could be anything, and then they put a black edge around it to make it nice and spherical. Then they create an Illustrator file with just a black box, and they put that image on top of that black box, and then save it as a JPEG or whatever, and then say it's an image of Earth floating in outer space. And then you take it into the software, you overexpose it, and you see that it's just sitting on top of a black box. It's fake. Now here we got an image of the moon that I downloaded off the internet. You can see these dark areas, which is trees, and then the sky is kind of bluish, it's a dark blue. So let's see what happens when you overexpose this image. Let's see what happens to the black areas where the trees are. And what happens to the moon, the edges of it. You see what happens? This is a real photograph. Every real photograph, when you overexpose it, will have its own identity. But the thing is that the entire photograph is overexposed. Even the black areas. This is a real photograph. This is a photograph that's from International Observe the Moon Night. So let's overexpose this photograph and see what it does. Looks like a real photograph, doesn't it? Well, let's just see. Let's see what happens when you overexpose it. Let's see if everything in the photograph gets overexposed, including the black areas. There you go, my friends. When you overexpose a photograph, this is what happens, if it's real. Imagine that. Page from NASA. Let's do it again. Let's look at the exposure. You see the black background. Now there's got to be stars out there. So when you overexpose it, you should see them. But you don't. What you see is a fake image. It's been pasted on a black background. There's no stars. It's fake.